Welcome and good afternoon to Business Relationships Matter Network. And I'm delighted to introduce Brenda Sheldrake from Toronto in Canada, is joining us today. And thank you very much for doing that. Brenda, I've known Brenda for a year or so through Be Connected World, which it's amazing how the world moves along in different ways for us as we go through this and we find out. And her philosophy is don't quit, your dreams will materialize. So that's the key thing I'd drop it. You can read her bio in the slide there as well as I can. I won't go through it. But Brenda, I'm really delighted that you've taken the time. Thank you so much. I know that you haven't got slides, so I'm going to stop sharing now and I'm going to pass the baton over to you to guide the discussion. And I'm going to put it in multi-speaker view.
So I want to thank Ross for inviting me to be here today. You'll probably hear me say tonight a lot because for me, yes, it is the night, and so it's hard for me to remember that it's not the night for you. Um, this is one of my favorite groups to attend because of your philosophy, because of the title of your group, the fact that you talk about the fact that relationships matter. There are a lot of networking groups that turn into pitch fests very quickly because people don't understand that idea that relationships matter. They think that if you show up and say, this is who I serve, this is how I serve them, and this is what I want to sell you today, then they're going to get a whole bunch of sales within the room. One of the things that they don't understand, and is one of the things that I'm going to be talking about tonight, is the fact that I believe all entrepreneurs would be further ahead if you stop. This is going to sound strange, so bear with me. If you stop looking for your ideal client and instead started looking for people who serve your ideal client in different ways. So, one of the first exercises that you can do that will really serve you is to sit down, think about who your ideal client is because you need to be able to articulate that. And I have a course where we do one whole session on explaining who your ideal client is, how to articulate it when you're talking to someone in a networking event, and how to talk about it when you're on a one-to-one with people, so that when you describe that person, the other person you're talking to is going to be going, "Oh, that's Sue. I know Sue." And it's no offense to anybody in the room, but it's so much more when you're describing somebody, it's so much more than people in financial services or than people who want to lose weight or people who want to start a podcast. Those are all good things. Those are all good things for us to know, but it's still pretty general. So if you can be a little more specific about describing that person, maybe give us an idea of what kind of pain they're in. Because if we have a friend who's an entrepreneur, there's a very good chance that our friends have talked to us about the pain that they're in, and they've shared that information. So it's going to trigger the memory. So I've got a question for you that might make you feel a little bit uncomfortable. How many people have you met over the course of your networking career that you had a really good time talking with, that during the conversation you thought they were really, really interesting people, but then you left that networking, you left that breakout session, you went into the next breakout session, and then you went into the next breakout session, and then the event ended and you went on with your day. And then maybe the next day you tried to think about what that person did. Have you ever found yourself not being able to remember what the person did?
Yeah.
I think without forcing people to nod their heads or center
Ah,
yourselves out on this, I think almost everyone in this room can probably think of at least one occasion, myself included. There are occasions where I just can't remember what that person did, or even worse, I can remember what they did, but then when somebody says to me, "Oh, what was their name?" I'm left going, "Oh, was their name? Was it was it Heather? Was it Mary? Was it Sue? Was it Carolyn? Which one was it? And particularly when you've met lots and lots of people in a day. That's why one of the things when I go to networking events, I really, really focus on a maximum of three people. It's like three people, three new people, because here's the thing. If it's an event that you're going to go to more often than once, then you're probably going to see many of the same people. There are a lot of people in this room that I have seen many times, but there are still a lot of people in this room that I haven't had a one-to-one with yet, and that I couldn't tell you exactly what they do. And then there are people who I've had a one-to-one with, and I'm still not entirely positive what they do. And then finally, there are people I've never had a one-to-one with, but they've also pivoted in what they're specializing in or what they're focusing on. So then I don't know. I know what you used to do, but I don't know what you do now. So what I want to encourage you to do, first of all, I want to encourage you to give yourself a break if you can't remember what somebody does, or if you find yourself struggling to remember somebody's name. Even if we write it all down, and that's what they say all the time, right? Write it all down. Even if we write it all down, it's still a struggle sometimes to remember all of that information for as many people. If you look at your database, if you look at how many people you've connected with, I have in my one database, in my most trusted database, which is my database of people that I am ready and willing to do introductions and referrals for, I have just over 200 people. Do you think I can remember at the drop of a hat 200 people's names and 200 people's business descriptions and 200 people's ideal clients? It's not possible. So what I want to encourage you to do is to work at becoming memorable, because becoming memorable isn't the same thing. It's not the same thing as people knowing what you do. It's more about something specific, some little piece that's going to tweak their memory and make them think of you. That's what makes you memorable. So when I do my introduction goes something like this. My name is Brenda Marie Sheldrake. I'm a lead generation strategist with a focus on relationship-driven lead generation. I help entrepreneurs create leads that last and clients that stick without cold calling, without chasing people, and without failing salesy. So I've talked about there at the end, I talked about three things that people really dislike. People don't want to feel salesy. You don't want to feel salesy. You don't want to feel pushy. And most of us, if there's somebody in this room who can contradict me on this one, then please stick your hand up. But most of us really don't find cold calling that enjoyable. And in this day and age, we've made cold calling even more challenging than it used to be, because there's something going on called a trust deficit. What the trust deficit does is the trust deficit. Ross, can you give me an idea when I've got like 5 minutes so that
Yeah, just
that
come into 5 minutes now.
okay, thank you. So the trust deficit, what the trust deficit is doing is it's making people question what we talk about, how we say it, what's important, what's not important, and what's even real. Because AI is coming up with all kinds of information, and some of it. Here's a really embarrassing event that happened to me. I was getting ready for a networking event, and I was going to talk about a new program that I had that helps you to use Alignable for lead generation. And I was going to an event, and I knew the event was predominantly people from Australia. And so I was in a hurry. I didn't Google Alignable in Australia. What I did was I just asked my chat GPT. I said, is Alignable popular in Australia? And my chat GPT came back and said, oh, yes, it's one of the most popular systems that they're using in Australia to make connections and get referrals and run their businesses. And I see that confused look on your face, Heather, because you know what? It's not available in Australia, but I didn't know that. So, like the lawyer who tried to defend himself to the judge when the judge said, "Where did you get your facts from?" And the lawyer said, "I prepared my whole case with ChatGPT." And the judge threw the book at him. Just like that, when I made that statement, I let you all know that I had prepared my whole preparation for that talk using ChatGPT, and I hadn't checked a source. And I looked pretty silly. So people want to know that what's really important to you. They want to know what you hold as being special and true. So I've got basically 3 points for helping you to be remembered and build trust. So the first one is that you want to be clear enough to be remembered. So one of the greatest gifts that you can give to the people you meet is clarity. People can't remember you, refer you, or introduce you if they aren't confused about what you do. So most of you, when you did your introductions, I'd say pretty much all of you, when you did your introductions, you had quite a bit of clarity in there. So I'm pretty clear about what you do. There were a couple of you that I asked questions for the point of clarification because of the fact that I'm in Canada, but I don't expect you to remember that every time. But when you say, so for example, people who are looking to be introduced to people in financial services, I put questions in the chat and I said, are you looking only for people in Australia or are you looking for people anywhere in the world? Because that makes a difference. I know lots of people in financial services in Canada. I know a few in Australia, lots in Canada, some in the United States. I'm happy to make introductions, but I don't want to waste your time on people that are not what you're looking for. So, at networking events, sometimes we hear introductions where people say things like, I'm a coach. I help people transform their lives. I provide business solutions. And while those statements might be true, they're hard to remember. And the reason they're hard to remember, especially they're hard to remember as being associated with one particular person, is because they don't create a clear picture and they're fairly generic. Think about how many people you've heard say, I provide business solutions. A great way to do this, if you want to help yourself with this, you want to create a memorable introduction for yourself that's going to help people to understand 3 things. First of all, who do you help? Secondly, what changes when they work with you? And third, what problem are you helping them solve? So here's an example. Instead of simply saying, I'm a lead generation strategist, you might say, I help entrepreneurs turn their existing connections into leads, referrals, and clients without cold calling or sounding salesy. That would be mine. It's more memorable, it stands out more, and it tells you about their pain as well as their gain. It creates that clearer picture. You don't need to explain everything you do either in your introduction. Save that for the one-to-one. Save that for when you're getting on a call with them and going deeper. It needs to help the right person to connect you with the right person. So when you go into a networking room, if you remember that you're not necessarily looking again for your ideal client in that room, but you are looking for people who work with that ideal client, that's why it's important for you to describe that pain and the way that you help them transform that pain and what it's transformed into. So you can ask yourself a question when you're preparing your introductions. Could someone I met tonight explain what I do to another person tomorrow? If you think the answer is no, then you might need to make your message simpler or more specific. If you think that it's too general, if you think that they're going to think of 10 people, then you might want to be a little more specific. Next point is you want to make people feel seen, not sold to. So when I have calls with people, it's really, to me, it's really important that they know that I'm looking at them and that I value them and that my time is for them right now. So people may forget the details of your business, but they're going to remember how they felt when they spent time with you. And trust doesn't begin with a perfect pitch. It begins when someone feels you're genuinely interested in them. One of the easiest mistakes to make in a network event is spending the entire conversation waiting for your opportunity to speak. And I'm guilty of this too. Thank you, Ross. I am definitely guilty of this too. So here's the quick, condensed version of how to solve this. Remember when you walk into the room, this is an old saying, you have two ears, one mouth, and you have them for a reason. You want to listen twice as much as you talk. Here's a don't do for when you have your next one-to-one with someone. When the person comes onto the screen and you thank them for their time, please don't make your next question. So tell me what you do. Because guess what? If you can read, you can find out what they do. They probably have a LinkedIn profile, or they probably have a profile someplace that you could find out what they do. Better to ask, why do you do what you do? So, Anthony, why did you decide to start helping people understand, help them to create podcasts? Why did you decide to do that? Why did you decide to help them get started? That starts a conversation, and I guarantee you something else that's going to happen from that. The next question will follow. There is an insight number three. I can't count 15 minutes when I talk. I tend to fire off information like a fire hose. So I am going to tell you all that if you would like to know what insight number three is, please book a call with me. I'm happy to tell you more about how I help people with leads. My offer to you tonight is I have a quiz that helps you to see where you are and how relationship ready your business is. I'm going to put a QR code in the chat. And if you would like to find out how relationship ready you are, take the quiz. It's going to give you a general result and an opportunity, again, to book a one-to-one with me where you can learn more. All of this is complimentary. And I want to thank you for listening to me tonight and for inviting me to be here.
Thank you, Brenda, so much. That's fantastic. Really appreciate you taking the time. I love that last line. Why do you do what you do? That does make sense, and also the clarity. And I was thinking, I didn't need to give you all the last part of who I'm looking for, um, but the first part of my elevator pitch was nice and short. So thank you so much, Brenda, for taking the time. I'm going to stop the recording now